Whenever you're ready.
Okay. From Los Angeles, California, I'm Amy Gallagher, and this is A Word Before We Leave.
And I'm Brett Gaffney. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Today we are in the living room of Amy Gallagher's place. Amy, you ready to dive in?
Oh my gosh, Brett, I'm so ready. I've been waiting for this moment for quite some time.
So we always start the show off with Word of the Day. Word of the Day is brought to you by Merriam-Webster's Dictionary, but it is not sponsored. One day it will be. And today's Word of the Day is scintilla. It is spelled S-C-I-N-T-I-L-L-A. And a scintilla is a very small amount of something. Scintilla is usually used in negative statements, as in not even / nary a scintilla. Their example sentence is, there wasn't even a scintilla of evidence to support their story. Now you're going to come up with a sentence, and then I'll come up with a sentence, and then that's Word of the Day.
Okay. I didn't have not even a scintilla of water last night before I went to a wine bar with my friends. So I woke up with a headache this morning.
Is the headache still here?
No, she's slowly going away.
She's lingering, but barely.
Yeah.
When I asked my boss how much was going to be on the next paycheck, she said that there was going to be a scintilla of dollars going towards my wallet.
Nice.
And that's Word of the Day. This is scintilla. This is a word before we leave. And as you guys know, this is a show about Amy. This is a show about the people that we interview and their outlook on life itself. So the words that you say today will matter. And I just have to know that I'm here to guide you along the journey.
Okay, great.
Amy Gallagher, what gets you out of bed every day?
Oh gosh. What gets me out of bed every day? Usually my alarm clock that I snooze like a gazillion times. I love mornings. Like I'm more of a morning person than a night owl. I don't know. I like feeling like, every day is like truly a fresh start. And I go to the gym almost every morning. Which is really nice because I feel like that's what gets me out of the bed in the morning. I'm just I'm going to go move my body and feel really good and do something productive right now to where if I 6 a.m. I can do whatever else is coming for the rest of the day.
Do you think you've always been a morning person?
Honestly, yeah. I feel like it just came from being kind of high maintenance and middle school and high school of getting ready to go to school of I needed to get up. School started at 7:38, and I always wanted to have my hair and makeup done and have a cute outfit on. So I was I have to be up early. And then I feel like it was just a fun thing that I got to do for myself every morning of feeling and not I hate feeling rushed ever. So I feel like that just naturally makes me a morning person where I just having more time to do the things I need to do.
So we talked a little bit about, we just started talking, but you're from Florida.
Yeah.
And you went to college at Indiana ISU.
Not
good.
ISU, Indiana University, IU.
Oh,
we don't
bad.
We don't claim ISU.
IU.
Indiana is much cooler than ISU.
They're a dominant football program right now too.
I know, 11-1, best record in IU football history. So.
Really?
Yeah, we're terrible at football, always. So.
And you guys lost to Ohio State?
Okay, yeah. Listen, I don't want to talk about
we all lose
that.
to Ohio State. I went to Nebraska.
Exactly.
I get it.
If we're going to lose to one football team, that's fine. I'm fine losing to Ohio State, whatever. But Ohio State just lost, and then they're not in the Big Ten championship, so it doesn't matter.
I think Nebraska's going to a bowl.
Are they?
I don't know who they're playing, but I've heard the rumors that they're going to a bowl.
Oh, okay.
You guys are definitely going to a bowl.
We better be. Oh my God. I think we're going to try and drive to one.
That'd be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Amy, what was Florida like growing up?
Oh my gosh. It was the best.
Where are you from in Florida?
I'm from Weston, Florida. It's a suburb of Fort Lauderdale. It's if you're looking at a map, it's literally right before the Everglades start. Our hometown used to be the Everglades. It's a young little suburb. It's only been there for maybe 35, not even 40 years. But yeah, it was the best living there. I think when I think of Florida, it's so homey and nostalgic. I think I live in one of the better parts of Florida. Florida, I think, is just there's so much going on in that state right now. But it was the perfect place to grow up. My hometown's name is Weston, but it's nicknamed Westonzuela because it's the most amount of Venezuelans in any other place outside of Venezuela, which is like so funny.
Really?
So it's so funny, really, because like when you think of Florida, you think of just like
Alligators.
yeah,
Swamp.
like a little podunk,
Disney.
yeah, like all those things. But like Weston and like I feel like the like neighboring cities of like where I grew up were really cool because like there were so many different types of people who lived there, and like all the schools are really big, so there was always like so many new people to meet and new things to do, and like just it was so cool and like such like a vibrant place to grow up. Or like it was so funny. I remember like going from there to Indiana. It was so funny where I was like talking about the concept of like being a minority in high school, which is like actually absurd, like coming from someone who looks like me, where like everybody
to somebody that's listening just audio, because that's an option. Describe yourself real quick. And we'll dive back into that.
I am a white cis woman from a middle class family. So most, high schools or anywhere in the country, like I am very much the majority, but it was really interesting in high school where like people were either Hispanic or Jewish, and that was kind of it. And there was me, which was really fun. We're like all of my friends, like their families had different traditions that I didn't have. Everyone was cooking different food that my mom didn't cook for me. So I loved growing up there. It was the best. It's fun to still go back now. It's just kind of like a sleepy little suburb. But yeah, I loved it there. I think it was like, if I could like, not that I would ever move back to Florida, but if I could like raise kids in a place similar to that, I would 100% do it.
Like a melting pot of culture. It's like, since you're in such a unique town and you're surrounded by so many different people from other places, you get a lot more of a better picture of what the world's like rather than like just that town itself.
Yeah, 100%. Like literally in college, like people never met a Jewish person, or like they didn't know like who Pitbull was. And I was like, wait,
Mr. Worldwide?
Mr. 305? Like, hello, what are you talking about? And they just like, it was just like not anything that they were ever exposed to. And I was like, that was like my bread and butter every single day. So yeah, it was the best. I loved it there.
Amy, what was the family life like when you were a kid?
Family life was good. I have 3 siblings. I'm the youngest. I'm like a textbook youngest of 3. Love attention. My sister's very like straight and narrow, like ringleader, really responsible. My brother is like a little bit like quiet, mysterious.
Is the brother the middle child?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So classic. Yeah. He's a funny guy. I love him. My brother and I bickered a lot. We're only 2 years apart. My sister's 6.5 years older than me. So she was very much like mother duckling of all of us. Yeah, I grew up mostly with my mom. My dad died when I was 8. So that was like a lot of what my like early childhood was like my dad was sick. He was sick for like 2.5 or 3 years. So it's like not really like honestly, given the circumstances, I feel like I still had a pretty great childhood where like I danced 3 nights a week. Like I played sports. I had great friends. My siblings and I are still really close, but yeah, I feel like that always added a layer of like a little bit different types of like conversations at the dinner table.
Yeah.
But other than that, no, like I mean, my family, my mom really did the best of like making sure like despite everything that was going on, like maybe behind the scenes to me as being so little, like that I still had like the things that you should have like in a childhood.
What's one of your favorite stories from growing up?
Oh my gosh, that's such a fun story. I don't know. I feel like so much of my childhood was like dancing. Like I loved dancing. Maybe like I just like loved all of my dance recitals. Those were always so fun, like getting to like dress up and like perform on stage. My sister danced too, so we were always in the same shows. So like maybe like my like second or third recital, well, that was one that like I remembered the most. And it's so fun. Like your family brings you flowers and you just feel really special and like celebrated, which I think is like so important for like little kids to always feel. Those are always really fun. Oh my gosh, I like really don't think about my like childhood like that anymore. But yeah, maybe dancing. Like I always loved dancing. And it was like, again, like with so much going on, like at home, like it was so nice to have time carved out in my like weekly routine to just like go and do something to like take my mind off of everything.
Totally. I don't want to like make you sad, but I wanted to know if you would be willing to talk about your dad at all. If you have any good memories about him.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, Memories of my dad are always like a little bit complicated because he died when I was 8 and he was sick for like 2.5 or 3 years. So, like lots of those memories are him not always like being in the best health. But there's like one memory where I don't know why I wasn't at school. Maybe it was the summer. But
Playing hooky.
I was sick like all the time when I was little. I had strep throat all the time when I was young. So maybe I was sick. I won't remember being sick in this. So maybe it was just I was playing hooky, or it was sometime in the summer. But it was like you know when you have 2 other siblings, like it's hard to like everyone's always running around, and like it's hard to really get like one-on-one time like with one of your parents. And if I did, it was usually my mom because my mom was a stay-at-home mom. But so I never really got like tons of one-on-one time with my dad. But there was this one day where I was home for whatever reason, and it was just us. And my dad loved to sit in the sun and like literally cook, which is so funny.
Florida. That sounds like Florida.
Yeah, like literally every single day he would be outside, like literally roasting in the sun. So we had these like 2 little chaise lounges out by our pool in the house that I grew up in. And there was just like one day where I was just like, I really just got to like be in his world. And like, I remember I was just like sitting with him and we were like reading a book, and like I was drinking a Capri Sun. He was like drinking his drink. We were just like really chilling out and just like being so content. We're like that's probably one of my favorite memories of just like, I don't remember at all. I don't even know if he was sick because it wasn't like a key memory from like this day that I spent with him, but it was just like us being happy and like having fun.
What was his illness, if you don't mind?
Cancer.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, lung cancer. It's what happens when you smoke a pack of cigarettes like every day since you were 14.
Yeah, that makes sense. That does make sense.
Yeah.
Amy, are you ready for a game?
Yeah, down for a game.
Yeah,
down for a game.
Just to lighten it up, you got to keep comedic relief in between some of the heavier
let's
stuff.
play a game.
So this is going to be a classic game called Wordplay, and the fans of the show know exactly what this is. I've played this with everybody. It goes on as long as we let it go on. It's simple. It's a simple game with simple rules. I'm going to count down from 3, and then we're going to say the first word that comes to the like top of our heads at the same time.
Oh, okay.
So our goal is to get to the same word together. So we have to like get on the same page.
Okay.
The rules are you can say nothing in the room, avoid names, and you cannot repeat a word we've already said.
Okay.
I'll let you think of a word for a second.
No, I have mine. I have my word.
I gotta think of a word too. And it goes pretty fast, so you don't have time to like talk about it.
Okay.
Once we're in it, we're in it. It could go 1 round. We could get it immediately. It could go for 10 minutes. It's happened.
Okay.
Louis, by the way, is on camera for our triple cam action going on. Louis has been interviewed for episode, was it 26 or 25? I think it was 26. But I think Louis and I, it took us 3 or 4 tries.
Oh,
it was fast.
That's pretty good.
So
gosh.
we got a classic word
right.
before we leave alumni in the building. I'm thinking of a word.
I'm locked in on mine.
I got a word.
Okay. Oh gosh. Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Wine.
Beer.
Oh
my God.
That was so good. Okay.
We don't even have the word yet, but we're on the same page. That was immediate. Are we getting beers after this?
I won't be drinking a beer.
I got a word.
Okay, I have one too.
3, 2, 1.
Margarita.
Booze. Oh.
Okay.
I got a word.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I have one.
3, 2, 1.
Mimosa.
Bar.
Oh. Okay.
Bar and mimosa.
Okay.
I got one.
Okay, sure. I have one too.
3, 2, 1.
Alcohol?
Champagne. Oh God.
Oh.
Okay. I was thinking.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
now we're
yeah,
going
yeah.
in opposite directions.
Champagne and alcohol.
Okay.
Send me your word. I can't.
Okay.
Really?
I feel like we're almost there.
Champagne and mimosa. 3, 2, 1.
Drunk?
Orange juice.
Oh.
I thought
Okay.
we were making a mimosa.
Okay.
Drunk and orange juice.
Okay.
This show is not sponsored by alcohol, by the way. Drunk and orange juice. 3, 2, 1.
Nap.
Hangover. nap and hangover.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Migraine.
Headache.
Okay.
Oh.
I was actually going to say headache. I was going to say headache. I said
Okay.
Migraine and headache.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
3, 2, 1.
Advil.
Bang! There it is. And today's wordplay ended on Advil. This is not sponsored by Advil, but if you have a headache, take it. Unless you have like a allergy to it. Are you ready to get back in the question?
Yeah, down. Let's do it.
Sweet. Amy, we kind of brushed over Indiana, but I wanted to talk about college for a second. What was college like for you post Florida, and what made you decide to move to Indiana of all the schools in the country?
Oh my gosh, I love Indiana so much. I almost didn't go there though. It was like it's like May 1st. You have to decide like what college you're going to.
Sure.
And it was like the last weekend in April, and I like still didn't know. I was deciding between Indiana or Florida. And it's one of those things where like all my best friends were going to Florida. My brother was already there. My mom would be there all the time. It was like I'd probably make money going to Florida and like not spend like a penny on tuition. Like there was all of that going for it, but it was just like, oh, like it's just gonna be a repeat of high school, and then like I don't know, like what if I never leave Florida? Like if I can't leave now, like what if I just always play it safe and then I never leave and then I always regret it? And Indiana and UF are really similar. But I was like, I don't know, like I want to go somewhere different and like push myself and like be in a different environment, like different weather, like different people. And then my mom always like was so nice, and she was like, try it, and then if you hate it, you can always transfer, which was like the most like grounding thing to like hear. But I loved it. I never like after like my first week, I was like, why would I ever transfer? Like this is the best place ever. Again, it was an interesting like culture shock in a way where like people in Indiana are like very white and like very like Midwestern. They have a lot of kids from out of state that come, but I feel like all the people that I lived with freshman year were like very from Indiana, and like that was what they were all about. Mm-hmm. They were really cool and I loved them. But very Midwesterners, like so, which you get. It's like
it's pretty sick.
Really like kind-hearted people, like in a way where like I guess like maybe you don't I don't know if you like get it from like growing up in the Midwest, but like people are not like that all the time. Like just like how like kind and open and friendly people are, just like without really even knowing you is like,
yeah, we're kind of like nice to a fault, but it's usually like we don't want to be that way. It's just how we're all raised.
Yeah. I think that's like such a great thing. And like, I don't think it's a fault at all. Like, I think it's like a beautiful way to like look at life. And especially when you're like 18 in an environment where you're kind of like, I've never been here before. I don't have family nearby. Like I really only have one friend coming to school with me, of like being surrounded by all these people who were just like so welcoming and like make you feel like family already. It was just like the best. So it was like so easy to like hit the ground running in Indiana. I have really good friends from college, from like freshman year all the way up to like friends that I made like the last semester of college. Like I just made the best relationships. I loved it. And like, I'm like so glad that I like took a chance and went there, because again, like, I don't like, it's just like, it really like changed the like trajectory of my life, where like, I feel like if I went to Florida, even if I did ultimately end up leaving like the state, I feel like I would have moved to New York and still be like close to all my family, and just like kind of had like left with all of these like what ifs. So I'm glad that I just did it. And I feel like if I didn't go to Indiana, I probably wouldn't have moved here. And I'm like so glad that I live here. It's like really,
we're in Los Angeles, guys.
yeah, it's the best. And like, I just feel like it's like so where I'm meant to be. And like Indiana was like the perfect stepping stone. Like 100% would never live in Indiana full time. Love that place, but would never. But
that's not a diss. It's just
for like me
Amy.
Personally,
yeah.
Just for me personally, like I would like if I could have like had a career in Indiana, like totally maybe.
The Hoosiers are sweating right now.
Yeah, like totally maybe would have potentially thought about maybe living there. But it was just like I loved it there. It was so fun, and like I would never do it any differently.
So, what was the exchange program like from Indiana to Los Angeles? Because I know that you were here pre-COVID and then COVID happened and then you got sent back to Florida.
Yeah. When like the time in college, like I had a semester where I could have went abroad, but like I just didn't feel like drawn to a certain city, and like I don't know. So I was like, an option in my program at school was to do a semester of classes here, and there was just like alumni from Indiana who would teach our classes, and you would do internships at night and take classes at night. And it was so cool. We lived in this like brand new apartment complex, and there was maybe like 20 of us in the program, and all just like young scrappy kids who just like wanted to get experience and like work in the industry, because it's hard like trying to get an industry job out of college when you went to college in Indiana.
It's hard to get an industry job in general, I feel like.
It's so hard. So it's like, why would I spend like 6 months like fucking off in Barcelona, like drinking Aperol spritzes with my friends, like being a little delinquent, when I could be doing something more productive and like still being a little bit of a delinquent when I had the free time too. So it was the best. I loved it. Like the classes were like so chill. Like they were hardly classes to begin with. My internships were great. I worked at a record label, and I worked for George Clooney's company, which was cool.
What company?
Smokehouse Pictures. It was his production company. They just did like they do all of his movies. So like lots of script coverage, which was cool to like really get to, because I'm not like a big reader. But it was really cool to like read all these different types of stories that like I wouldn't have necessarily picked for myself. But yeah, and then you know, COVID came around, so it was like the craziest thing. Where were you when that happened?
I was in Nebraska.
Okay.
I was in class on campus, and we got a like email from the school, and it was like 2 weeks of spring break instead of 1 week. Mm-hmm. And then me and my buddy were like, "Let's go!" Yeah. And then they were like, "Because of this pandemic that's going around the country."
Yeah. My God.
And we were like, "Let's go!" And then we got sent home, and then when we were home for the first week of spring break, they announced that spring break would be extended another week. And then I was like, let's go. And then I got an email like the following week, and it said that classes were all going to be moving online.
It was so scary. But it was like weird in LA, because it was like, I feel like it started on the East Coast, and we were like, oh, it's like totally fine in LA. Like we'll just like stay, and it's going to be easy. And like no one's going to get sick here.
Right. In Los Angeles.
Yeah. Like what? Like that would never happen to us. But yeah, I had a rental car that I had to like return and like find a flight home. And it was also bad because it was like LAX was like where like all of these like TSA agents were getting really, really sick. So I was like, oh, I'm going to fly out of Burbank. It'll be great. Because my mom was going through health issues too. And I was flying home to her house. And I was like, oh my God, I cannot get sick and then get my immunocompromised mother sick. So I booked a flight out of Burbank, canceled my Burbank flight because they weren't going anymore. So I had to fly out of LAX. It was like so nerve wracking. I didn't get sick, thank God. I like camped out of my room for like 2 weeks, and then it was fine. And I had honestly a super chill, like 4, 5, 6 months with my mom and my brother at our house. And I'm like glad no one I knew personally got really, really sick. But yeah, it was a wild time coming. I'm glad, again, another reason I'm glad I was not fucking off in Barcelona for this, because then getting back from Europe was so much harder, because you were in a completely different country and people almost like didn't get back. Like, so I'm so glad I did not do all of that.
It's crazy that was 4 years ago.
I know, my God.
Almost 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Time has flown by.
Time's flying.
Where were you?
During COVID?
Yeah.
I was in Bennington College in Vermont when, we got the same email where it was like, our email was basically like, you have till the end of the week to pack up your stuff and everyone has to get off campus. But I stayed in Vermont and I lived on a horse farm with my ex-girlfriend, my girlfriend at the time, and then our 2 best friends who were also a couple. And it was amazing.
Do you know how to ride horses?
Yeah.
That sounds like really picturesque. Like,
it was
really, that sounds like the best COVID experience. I mean, as good as it can be.
It was idyllic.
Like, I feel bad being like, like quarantine was like actually kind of really nice and peaceful. Like I was never like as happy or healthy during that. But I'm like, that feels so privileged to say that.
No. I agree.
It's bad. Yeah.
I know COVID was terrible, but I had a great time.
Oh, me too.
I know it's bad to say, but I'm like, no one I knew got sick, and I'm so thankful like that no one like close to me was like negative, and I know so many other people were, but like selfishly I was like, oh yeah, like I was walking like 20,000 steps every day, like I was eating such great food, my mom was cooking for me, like I was up every day, like it was the best.
That sounds really nice.
It was the best, yeah.
So post-COVID, you go back to Indiana?
Yeah, we had 1 more year of school left. It was our senior year.
And then you graduated, and then you moved out to Los Angeles in 2021.
Yeah, in July.
After you graduated?
Yeah.
Like a month after?
I stayed in Bloomington for like 2 or 3 months, and I worked at a little like Mexican restaurant, which was so great.
Make
Social
some tips real
Cantina
quick.
in Bloomington, Indiana. It's the best restaurant in the world.
Go. If you're in Bloomington, go.
Really
3
nice,
cameras.
strong margaritas. Oh my God, you guys. Literally, it's a dream. I wish I was there right now. But I worked there for like 2 or 3 months, and then packed up I drove a little van. Well, I didn't drive. My mom drove. She wouldn't let me drive the vehicle. But we packed up a van. My mom drove us from Indiana out to LA, and I've been here ever since.
What has LA been like to you?
Oh my gosh, I love LA. Which is so funny because I feel like, I'm sure like you both have heard this when you move here. Like I feel like people who don't live in LA have so many opinions about LA. They're like, that place sucks. Like traffic is terrible. People are mean. Everyone has Botox and like fake boobs. Blah 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 blah. I'm like, I'm from Miami. We're like, that all is true there. So like, what do you mean?
I have Botox and fake boobs, obviously.
You fit right in. But it was just so funny. Everyone was like, you don't want to live there. My niece's best friend's cousin's nephew went there and hated it. So like, you'll probably hate it. And I was like, what are you talking about? So it was just so nice and like reassuring me. I was like, no, like I know I'm going to like it there. Like I really just feel like that is like the place where I'm like meant to be. And it like so is. So it was like so reassuring to all those like losers who told me not to move here. I was like, that's frankly none of your opinion. Like none of your, I don't need you to tell me where you think I should live. LA has like really just been like so homey to me. Like I almost moved to New York a couple times. Like I almost went to college there, and I really thought about moving there after college. But there's just like something about New York where I'm like, it doesn't feel like homey. Like it doesn't feel like I could like see myself there. So no, LA was the best. I was so lucky to move with 3 of my really, really close friends.
I know them.
You know them, and they're the best. Like I'm so lucky that like I had so many friends who moved out at the same time as me, where I know that that's so hard. Like moving to a new city of like, I don't know people, and like who am I going to live with and how am I going to make friends? Where like I really do feel so lucky that like all my friends, we moved here at the same time, and we're like getting settled and like learning and doing the same things, which was like such a special like time in our lives. It was so funny, like just being 22 with like all of your friends and just like figuring it out. Like, oh my God, like I'm paying rent for the first time. Like I don't have homework. Like this is so, I like, what are all these things that I'm doing as an adult? Like it's so weird, but I'm like, I feel like I have so many friends who after graduation, like felt like they had to be an adult like really quickly. And I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. Like I'm 22. Like why would I start acting like a full adult? So I'm so glad that I lived with all my friends from college and we were able to like tiptoe into adulthood together, but still stay like really fun and young.
So you're 26 now. Where do you feel like you're at in adulthood?
Oh my God, that's a question that I literally think about every single day. Like I just turned 26, which is like, oh man, like off mom's health insurance. Like this is feeling really serious. But I don't know. I feel like when you just are 22 and like out of college and like you're just thrown into the world, like you feel so old. You're like, wait, whoa. I was just at $2 Tuesday with my friends and now like I have a 401k. Like, what do you mean? Like what's going on? Where it feels really grown up really quickly. But I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'll feel differently next year, but I feel like every year in my 20s, I like somehow like feel like younger, which is like maybe not like, I don't know. I just like, I think there's so much pressure that like you put on yourself, and I also think it's helped that I've thankfully have made friends who are a little bit older than me. Which I feel like in college, all of your friends are like about your same age, but I made really great friendships with people here who are like 5, 6, 7, 8 years older than me, where I'm like, oh wait, I'm not old, you're old. Which is great, where I'm like, oh wait, like you're in your 30s and you're still like so like happy, and like whether you're, you know, at the point in your life that they think they should be at or not, like I feel like it takes some pressure off of like, wait, like I feel so old, like I'm 26, like oh my God, like 4 years till I'm 30. Like I don't really think about it like that. Like I really just like try to enjoy my life and like every year that goes by. I do feel like definitely more mature and like not as like crazy wild as I used to be, but I don't know, like I don't like think of being 26 as like the slow crawl to 30. I'm just like, oh wait, like I'm 26. Like, that's so cool. Like, I've made it 26 years. Like, I've learned so much. And, like, I don't know. Like, I adulthood is, like, such, like, a weird concept because I feel like it means so many different things to so many different people. And, like, Indiana and, like, the Midwest, like, I have literally friends who, like, have a child or divorced already. Like, it's crazy where I'm like, that doesn't even sound fun to me. Like, it's never how I thought my like early 20s would go. But it's nice. And I also feel like LA, like everyone is kind of on like like their own timeline, which is so nice that you're not like living in a city or a community where there's like, oh, well, like, when are you going to get married? Like, are you going to have kids soon? Like, you're almost 30, like you're getting old.
I come from towns like that. You know that, right? Like all of my friends back home are getting married. Nothing against that. If I could do that, I might. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just like, and I have no judgment for my friends who are married or divorced or having kids. Like one of my best friends, Ellie, got married like a couple months ago, and it was so great and it was so beautiful. And like, that's always what she wanted. Where it's just like, everyone's life is going to look differently. And I feel like it's so important to like not put pressure on yourself of like, oh, well, like these people are getting married or like these people are doing this, or like they have this job. Like, it's like, yeah, but like you don't want to be like them. Like you have your own thing going on. Like really, like there's not a lot of pressure. So I also like, I grew up, my mom is like kind of like a retired hippie. So I feel like she's always kind of had that same spirit. So yeah, I think adulthood is really fun. I think your 20s, like you feel so old. But in your 30s, you're going to look back and be like, oh my God, we were children. Like I was so young. Like I had so much ahead of me. I was learning so much and like doing all these things. So I think your 20s are like such the best time to like be young and like make stupid mistakes and learn from them and just like be really hopeful and optimistic about like everything else.
It sounds like you have a really good outlook when it comes to comparison. What would you say to somebody that may not do well with comparison?
Listen, I mean, I was not always like this at all. Like, I feel like I'm a girl. I feel like girls always compare themselves. I have an older sister, which is always just like, my sister is like literally like tiny waist, huge boobs, like amazing personality. She's way smarter than me. Like, I was like born and bred into like comparing myself to like her all the time. I don't know. I just feel like I feel like there's not the right thing to tell someone where it's just like really like, you are your own person, like really like you're going to be so much more unhappy if you spend your days comparing yourself to other people, whether it's looks or relationships or money or jobs or like anything. It's just like you're going to end up in like the place that you're supposed to be with the people that you're supposed to be. And it's like you can compare all these like little trivial things that like really probably don't matter that much, but you can like look at the things that really do matter, like your health, your family, your friends, your happiness. And like that to me is just like so much more important. But again, like I've not always felt this way. Like I think that's just come with like learning and living in my 20s of just like being at a place now where I can be like, I'm good. Like I really am just so happy with like how things are going. And like there's things that I obviously want to accomplish and things I want to do. And there's always, my one college professor always said that everyone's doing their best, but you can always be doing better. And I really like that. Where like I'm so content, but like still have goals. But comparing yourself is just like, it's natural. Like it totally happens. And I still get tripped up and like compare myself to people. Like I'm not perfect. No one's perfect. But like, I think just like ground yourself in things that like really matter.
So what does really matter to you, Amy?
I feel like the things that I touched on, like I feel like I think my health is really important to me. I've seen so many people in my life get sick, whether it was by powers they couldn't control or just from things that they could, where like I really try to wake up every day and again go to the gym and like be so thankful that I can like move my body and feel really good. And I want to like use like my 20s when I'm like in my like physical prime apparently, and like feel really good and like build a good foundation that'll like carry me into my 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and so on and so forth. So I'm really thankful for my health, and I'm thankful for the health of the people around me. Because again, it's just like something where like, again, growing up the way I did, like I just know that it's not a guarantee. So that's like so important to me. Family is so important to me. Like my mom is like the best person in my life, or like even days where I'm like, oh, like my job's annoying. Like this person pissed me off because it's so annoying. But like I talk to my mom almost every single day. And when I talk to her, I'm like, oh, like it's fine. Like she's grounded me, like everything else is fine. Like I have my mom, like we're both happy and healthy. Like that's all really that like really matters to me, you know? Relationships are so important to me. Like my friends and my family, like I'm so loyal. Like those are like my people. That's right. And it's just like, it's those things. It's like people that like you spend your day with. Like what's the point of like, you know, like comparing yourself and like wishing you were the hottest person in the room if like there's no one in the room with you. You know what I mean? Like, so those are things that I think are really important.
Very well said, Amy. That was very well said. Are you ready to do another segment?
Yes, let's do it.
So this is going to be words of affirmation. We're going to compliment you, the viewer or listener, those who are joining us. We are with Amy Gallagher. Amy, 3 compliments. I'll do 3 compliments. We'll just go back and forth.
Okay.
You can go as broad or as like simple as you want.
Okay. You are beautiful.
I really like when you express how you feel fully.
Oh, that was really good. You don't need to compare yourself to other people. You are 100% complete and whole just the way you are.
I wish my shoes were as cool as your shoes.
You have a really nice smile.
Sometimes life is very hard, and I feel like you hide the hard times well, but when you do show it, I really appreciate your vulnerability, and I'm here for you just as much as you're here for me.
That was so good.
One more, Amy.
Oh, wait, one more?
Close it off.
Oh,
Close
one
it off.
more. Oh, my
Yeah,
gosh.
You got this. I give you 4. I take 3.
Oh, gosh. Okay. I was only 3. You deserve to be here. You know, I think life gets really hard and heavy sometimes, and it feels like, you know, like all these things are getting you down, but you deserve to be here and you deserve to be happy.
That one rocked. That's my favorite. Amy, we're going to now talk about the future, something that we can't control, nor do we know what it looks like. If you want to pause or breathe, that's totally fine. Amy, what does your relationship with grief look like?
Oh my God. I think it looks really different than a lot of people. Again, like I went through a lot of grief when I was really young. Like, obviously my dad passed away, and then like 9 months later, my grandpa passed away. And then 6 months later, my best friend passed away. Where like, it was just like a lot all at once. And like, it just felt like it was never going to end. And I was just going to be in this cycle of like losing the people that I loved the most. So I dealt with a lot of grief really, really early, which like is so sad. Like, but I feel like it's given me a really different perspective as an adult, that I think I handle grief in a really different way, where like I really try, if it's not me going through it, I really try to just like be as empathetic as I can be, because it's always sad when you're going through grief and like it just feels like no one knows what to say to you. So I think just really trying to like be as empathetic as you can be.
Thanks, Lily.
And I think that like, oh God, there's like all those like things that people tell you, like the different stages of grief and so on and so forth. But I feel like there's never like a wrong thing that you can really do. Like, I feel like everyone is just going to grieve in whatever way they're going to. And it's interesting too, like see people that I love, like really going through like serious grief for the first time. And it's so different when you go through it in your 20s versus going through it when you're like a child. Where I feel like when you go through it as a child, like you don't really think about as much, like you think about it in a really simple way. But I think when you're an adult, you think about it in like a much larger like context way. But like I think about it now, where I think about like when I just lost my grandma this summer.
I'm so sorry.
And I think about grief as more of like a 360 thing, where like when I lost all those people early in my life, I thought about it like, oh, like all this happened to me. Like it all happened to me. Like I feel this way. And like, why did this happen to me? And like, how am I going to get through this? But now I think I'm seeing it as like, it happens to like so many different people. Like
I think it happens to everybody.
Like it like when at my grandma's funeral, it really like her and I honestly just weren't the closest. Like we had a really weird relationship, but like seeing how it's impacting like my mom and her siblings and like my grandma's siblings, like it was just like such a different thing, where I think like I was still able to like grieve losing her myself. But like, I think it makes me think about like, wow, like my mom is grieving her mother, and like makes me think about like, what am I going to do when I lose my mom? Where like, I feel like there's more layers to it that have really opened up. But I think like I notice myself now just like not really feeling as like drawn to like immediately crying when like something really, really tragic happens. I feel like I can really like, which maybe isn't always the best thing, just like internalizing everything and like really like thinking about the context of like outside of myself as opposed to like just really crying. But I don't know. I've grieved so many different things in so many different ways. And it's not always just like losing a person, like a person dying. Like you can grieve a relationship or a friendship or like the ending of something. And it's just like, I think though, the thing for me is that like grief feels like it might not end. And it really, it might always be with you a little bit, but it always like, I think comes to a resolution where you can like be okay with like moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah. That was, yeah. Thank you for that answer. That was great. Amy, if you could ask a word of advice from 80-year-old Amy.
Oh God.
What would you want her to say, and what would you think she'd actually say?
As a fun one, I'd be like, what skincare worked and what skincare didn't work? Like, am I wrinkly? Like, what's going on? But in a more thoughtful sense. Words of advice. Oh gosh. You know, I think about this all the time where I'm like, should I see a psychic? But then I'm like, you know what? I don't really want to know. Maybe 80-year-old Amy, maybe to ask her for like money advice too. And,
Sure.
And be like, girl, where do I put my money? What worked? What didn't work? Those are just like trivial, like kind of frivolous things. Cause I just feel like I'm like, oh, like I honestly, maybe I would literally ask her about like superficial things. Cause like all the other things, like I feel like the big life things are things that like I'm gonna learn myself, or like I don't want someone.
No spoilers.
Yeah, like I want to live and learn that myself. So like honestly, maybe I'd be like, well, hey girl, when should I get Botox? Like what tretinoin should I be using? And like maybe like what stocks were the most successful for you? That's probably what I would ask her.
What would you say to 8-year-old Amy if you could give her advice today?
Oh my God, 8-year-old Amy. Oh, that makes me so sad. I would tell her like, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. Like it feels so like heavy when you're like 8, and that like your whole world's over of like losing people that like really matter to you. But honestly, again, like I wouldn't want to ruin anything for her. I would probably just give her a big hug and be like, you're going to be fine. And it's going to feel like everything is going to be like stopped, but like it's going to keep going and you're going to be fine.
I'm a firm believer that 8-year-old Amy knows that, because you're allowed to say that to yourself right now.
Yeah.
You've just given her the advice and she has received it well. Amy, you have given yourself a hug with your words, and the words that you put out into this world matter so importantly and so deeply. One more question, and then the final question.
Okay.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Amy, what would you say to the person that is struggling right now?
Oh gosh. I would say to really lean on the people in your life. I feel like when you're going through something that like feels hard and you're struggling, it's like so easy to feel really isolated. And then I feel like you just like get into this like cycle of not asking for help, and then you're like telling yourself all these things, and like it just feels like it's like again like a never-ending cycle. But you really always have at least one person that you can talk to, and even if it's someone that you haven't talked to in a really long time, like if you need help and you reach out, like really if it's someone that matters to you, like they'll help you get through it. Like I mean, the people in my life have like really been the people to like lift me up when I need them to, and vice versa. And again, like there's so many things in life that feel like really heavy and all these things, but it's like the people that you have with you. So when you're struggling, no matter like what it is, even if you feel like it feels like stupid or like dumb to ask for help. Like it's really never dumb to ask for help. And like the people in your life are there for a reason, you know?
Yeah. Amy, would you care to share a word before we leave?
Oh gosh. Yeah, totally. I don't know. Before we leave, I would just say like, I think like one of the most beautiful things in life is empathy. And I think there's just not enough of it like at all. And it's been something that's been really big in my life. And I feel like I've been able to, through other people's empathy, like have a really clear understanding of it for myself. And because I feel that way, like I just feel like we could use so much more of it. So when like you see something or you feel a certain type of way, like always try to think about it in the context outside of just yourself. And I think then you'll live happier, your life will feel more fulfilled, and the people around you will like love having you there, and like everyone will be happy because again, like life's not that deep, it's not that serious, and it's so short. So like be nice to people.
I'm going to say a few quick thank yous, but that's the show. My name is Brett Gaffney, and this has been...
A word before we leave.
No,
Amy Gallagher.
It
It has been. My name is Amy Gallagher. I have been Amy Gallagher, yes.
And we also have Louie. Louie, do you want to come say hi to the camera real quick? Give him a little wave.
Hey, what's up, guys? Good to see y'all again.
I want to say thank you to Amy, thank you to Louie, thank you to Aaron for letting us record here. Shout out to Dottie. The pet was not in the episode. I was hoping she would be. Dottie's the best. Dottie's her dog. And I want to say thank you to everyone that's been a part of Season 3 of A Word Before We Leave. This is Season 3, by the way, if you didn't know. All I have to do is close a door. I'm going to close that one.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Yeah.
But maybe you too, whatever camera I'm looking at, I'll go wide. Maybe you too can ask for help today. I'm Brett Gaffney. That's the episode.
All right.
Cut.
We got it.
Woo!
That's a kill.